Pakistan is at a huge crossroads right now. On one side, you've got this crippling reliance on really expensive energy imports. And on the other, massive untapped riches just waiting right under its own soil. This is the story of a high-stakes balancing act, and really, what it could all mean for the country's future. So, to really get a sense of the scale of this problem, just look at this number. In a single fiscal year, Pakistan shelled out over $15 billion just to import petroleum. I mean, that is a staggering drain on their foreign exchange, and it puts this massive weight on the entire economy. And that leads us to the big question, right? What if the answer to this multi-billion-dollar headache isn't overseas at all, but is actually waiting to be found at home? This, right here, is where the story gets really, really interesting. Okay, so first, let's really break down this costly dilemma. Because, this isn't just some number on a spreadsheet. It's a problem that touches everything, from how fast industries can grow to even national security. Here's the heart of the issue. You've got some good news on one side. Domestic oil reserves are growing, up 23% in just a year. That's great. But, and this is a big but, that increase is basically a drop in the bucket compared to what the country actually needs. That massive gap you see between production and demand, that's the real problem. And this goes way beyond just saving money. Every single barrel of oil that's produced at home means less reliance on imports and a more stable economy. It's really a matter of national resilience. All right, so we've established the problem. Now, let's get to the exciting part, the promise, because it looks like Pakistan is sitting on a potential treasure trove of untapped energy. So let's start with what we know is there. As of late 2024, we're looking at proven oil reserves of 238 million barrels. That's a solid foundation, and it's growing. But hold on, because this is where the numbers get truly staggering. The U.S. Energy Information Administration estimates that Pakistan could be holding up to 9 billion barrels of shale oil. Think about that. That's an absolute game changer. And it doesn't even stop there. On top of all that oil, you can add an estimated 105 trillion cubic feet of potential shale gas. I mean, the sheer scale of what could be under the ground is just enormous. It could completely rewrite Pakistan's entire energy story. And all that potential we just talked about, that's just what's on land. The next big frontier is offshore. In fact, recent surveys out in the Indus Basin have already spotted some really promising structures deep down below the seabed. So the potential is obviously there, but how do you turn a geological promise into actual barrels of oil? Well, that's going to take three things: a lot of capital, advanced technology, and the right strategic partners. Yeah, unlocking shale, for instance, is a massive undertaking. It's not as simple as just drilling a well. You need extensive operations, some seriously cutting-edge tech, and a smart long-term strategy. We're talking an initial investment of over $5 billion just to get commercial-scale extraction going. Now, the Pakistani government knows this. They've recognized this challenge, which is why they created the Special Investment Facilitation Council, or SIFC. Its whole job, really, is to cut through the red tape and make it easier to attract the foreign investment needed for these huge projects. Of course, no country can really do this alone. Bringing in that kind of capital depends on having strong international relationships. And for Pakistan, a huge piece of this puzzle is its long-standing economic partnership with the United States. And just how important is that relationship? Well, the U.S. is Pakistan's single biggest export market. It accounts for 17% of all its exports. It's an economic link that has proven to be incredibly resilient for decades. And this partnership has only gotten deeper over time. In fact, just recently, in mid-2025, that momentum led to a new trade agreement aimed specifically at helping develop Pakistan's oil reserves. That shows a really clear strategic alignment on energy. This quote right here really captures the scale of the ambition. The vision isn't just for Pakistan to meet its own needs, it's for the country to potentially become an energy exporter to its neighbors. Now that would be a profound shift in the entire region. All right, so let's put all of this together. What is the actual blueprint for Pakistan to forge this new energy future, one that's based on self-reliance and economic growth? Well, the blueprint for success really boils down to four key pillars. First, you've got to secure that massive strategic investment. Second, you have to leverage strong global partnerships, like the one with the US. Third, it's about adopting the advanced tech needed to get that shale.
And fourth, you have to maintain a relentless long-term commitment to keep exploring.
And why does all this matter? Well, because the rewards would be absolutely transformative. Energy independence would fuel industrial growth. It would create countless jobs. It would fix that multi-billion-dollar payment issue we saw at the very beginning, and it would just fundamentally make the nation more resilient. Which brings us to this final critical question. The potential is undeniable, and the path forward is becoming clearer. But that journey from a geological promise to real, actual economic power, well, it's a long and challenging one. The world will definitely be watching to see if Pakistan can make that leap.